Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at Nova from the Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy wave. This is easily the most anticipated figure from the wave for me. I absolutely love the character design for Nova. I'm not a huge buff on his story or on his lore or fiction, as they say, but I love the character design, so I'm really happy to get this figure, especially after having this figure, which is not the best. We don't even have to go into that. Not a great figure. Pretty good figure. Definitely has some problems though. So let's take a look at the figure. He stands just about 6.5 inches tall. He's made almost entirely out of this molded, pearlescent, shiny, metallic blue plastic. It does have the marbling, the swirling in it that I mentioned in the other review, but it actually works for Nova. I think this looks really good. The gold parts, even though some are painted and some are molded, they look pretty good. I wish the helmet was a bit shinier, but by and large the figure looks really good. I don't know if they could have done much more to fix the aesthetics other than the shoulder pads. We'll get into that, but everything else looks pretty spiffy. The ports look really good. They're painted with like an off-white, kind of bluish white with a blue ring around them, so those all look nice. The lines are painted cleanly. Everything looks good. As far as articulation goes, the head is on a ball peg with the hinge, but it doesn't go back very far, so if you're going to have him flying forward like this, you can't have him looking up, so that's a problem. Similarly, the shoulder pads are a problem. They look decent from the front. They cover the top of the ball peg for the shoulder just fine, but you do see these big arms sticking out to hold the shoulder pads. So, and that's okay, I guess, except it looks horrible when it's like that. So I think we might have had a better looking figure if they just sculpted them onto the arms and maybe had them hinged or floating a bit on the shoulder itself. It's not bad, but if you're going to move the arms up at all, it's going to be problematic. So probably you're better off just posing him in kind of one of these poses, something like that, like he's hovering above somebody, something similar. So the ab crunch clicks forward once, which is okay. When you try to bring it back, not so great. You can kind of get it to stay a little bit, but the way they made it, I don't think it's actually the sculpt, because the sculpt itself, it lines up fairly accurately, fairly well. I think it has to do with the gearing or the teeth on the gears for the hinge. But regardless of why it doesn't work that great. So you can't really get him to lean back or for his head to go back, so flying is going to be a problem for him. We do have a waist twist with this belt being a softer piece, so it does kind of warp, but it also kind of works, so I'm not really going to complain about that. I do wish that, yeah, it's probably better if you leave the belt in place and spin it on top. So I was thinking that, and it worked out. You do get these little dog ear type things, but it's not so bad. And I love the way they resculpted the torso for this guy. So as you saw, the shoulders are standard ball hinges, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, wrist swivel, and a wrist hinge. Unfortunately, these things, I think they should have been a separate piece, or at least connected to the hand so that they can rotate and go, like when you bring the hand like this, they should go with it. So that would have been a much nicer feature rather than having them sculpted on. Same thing for the boots. They are solid. They don't need to be a separate piece, but they are sculpted on. Or wait a minute, they're glued on. Are these glued on too? They are glued on. I didn't even notice that. Now I'm going to have to see if I can pry that apart without ruining it and make that swivel. If I do that, I'll let you guys know. I'm so glad I noticed that. I just opened this guy, so I'm sorry I wasn't aware of that ahead of time. So let's look at the hips. The legs go forward almost all the way, so that's fine. Go back just a little bit. These are basically the bucky cap hips. They don't go so far to the side. We do have a thigh swivel. Double jointed knee, no problem there. Same bucky cap feet as we're used to, so nothing new there. And as I did find out, these are glued on, so they won't get in the way of articulation. If you need to move them, you can do that. So the shoulder pads aren't perfect, the ab crunch isn't perfect, the head isn't perfect, but it's still a darn good looking. Aesthetically, it's very pleasing. The contrast, the composition, everything looks good about this guy. So ignore the problems and buy him. Either way, you're going to be happy with this figure. Even if you want to pose the crap out of him and can't do it, you're still going to be happy you bought it. So don't hesitate if you see him on the shelf or online and you haven't purchased one yet. purchase it. It looks darn good. And I'll let you guys know if I figure something out about these, because that would be really nifty. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.